Ladies and gentlemen, the pleb is back. In this report, we got to talk about Pierre Poilievre's recent Canada First press conference, which had many viral moments, from Pierre Poilievre telling the woke that they are no longer canceling our pass, to Pierre Poilievre getting tough with President Trump, and Pierre Poilievre even thanking Elon Musk for the kind words. So sit back, you won't want to miss this report. Well, folks, it is good to be back. I know I took a couple of days off from the channel, but I was really sick. I got food poisoning, and there was almost a 72-hour period where I was not able to eat. But on the bright side, maybe I look a little thinner in this video, but yeah, it's good to be back. Now, right as I got food poisoning, Pierre Poilievre hosted one of the greatest press conferences of all time, and I wasn't able to cover it because I was so under the weather. But now that we're back, we're going to bring it back to this press conference because I got a lot to talk about with what was said here. Now, this press conference happened right after Trump threatened Canada yet again, and Pierre Poilievre responds here in the most awesome way, with 13 Canadian flags behind him, representing all provinces and territories, in what is possibly the most patriotic backdrop of all time. If this was Trudeau, this would be like pride flags, trans flags, whatever, things that don't have to do with Canada. But Pierre Poilievre comes out and wraps himself in the Canadian flag. It's beautiful.
Bonjour tout le monde.
All right, he's starting in French, so let's fast forward to the English part. And to all the French Canadians who are going to be in my comments saying, "Pleb, see, play the French part, man. I want to hear him talk French." Look, bro, if I played French content on my channel, I would be broke, okay? I love you guys in Quebec, but this channel is English only.
Thanks very much, everyone. I just got a belated haircut, and the first thing that the hairstylist said to me is, "What the hell's going on? Everything's completely out of control. It's nuts. I've never seen it like this." And she's right. But before we get to the obvious of the last 60 days of liberal chaos and the threats that weakness has invited from incoming President Trump, let's just talk about everything that was out of control before that. Housing costs, out of control, doubled after 9 years of NDP Liberals, rising faster than in any other country in the G7. Food costs, out of control after the NDP Liberal carbon tax caused grocery prices to rise 37% faster in Canada than in the United States, driving 2 million people to food banks. A quarter of our kids, according to federal data, are going to school hungry, and a quarter of our families are living in poverty. Terrible. The worst inflation in 40 years. After out-of-control liberal deficits and money printing increased our money supply by $700 billion, or 40%, that is to say 10 times faster than the growth in the output of our economy. Spending out of control. The deficit hit $62 billion. Remember, we were all supposed to accept the excuse that COVID caused the deficit, but as we get further and further away from COVID, the deficit actually gets bigger and bigger. The deficit 50% bigger than it was supposed to be. A fact we found out the same day that the finance minister who was supposed to tell us about this failure resigned and blamed her boss for that failure. Immigration is out of control, with a 200% increase in year-over-year population growth, causing a massive housing, social service, and job crisis. Our borders out of control, with dangerous poisons pouring in from China and Mexico, and then manufactured into deadly fentanyl that has killed 47,000 of our people. Crime, completely out of control. Violent crime up 50%. Gun crime up 116%. And hate crime up 251% after 9 years.
The liberals want to pretend like things are all bad now because Trump's back, but our country was a bloody mess before Trump got elected. Trump is actually a distraction from the mess that our country was in, thanks to Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh.
NDP liberal, radical, woke, catch and release criminal justice policies.
We don't like the woke.
Everything is out of control, and now our government is out of control. We have a lame duck prime minister, rejected and fired by his own caucus, unable to respond to threats from abroad or crises that he and his party caused after 9 years at home. And why did they get rid of him? Did Liberal MPs get rid of him because they disagree with his policies, doubling the housing cost? Did they say that all of a sudden they've changed their mind on quadrupling the carbon tax up to 61 cents a litre? Is it because they feel guilty over the hell they've unleashed in our streets? No. They say he's doing a great job. It's just that Canadians unfairly don't like him anymore.
They're delusional.
And that unpopularity threatens their power, paychecks, and pension. And
and you see this on X with like liberals saying it was a coordinated hate campaign against Trudeau. Canadians don't hate Trudeau. This was a coordinated hate campaign by the Conservatives. There's no way they can hate Trudeau. Delusional.
So, right before an election, the Liberal MPs want to elect another Justin Trudeau who has a different face.
Yeah.
They're all Justin Trudeau. They're all just like Justin. In the next election, I will be running against Justin Trudeau. Whether his name is Justin Trudeau or his name is Chrystia Freeland or Carbon Tax Carney or Carbon Tax Clark, they will all be Justin Trudeau.
You want to know why they're all Trudeau? Because they're all woke. You replace woke Trudeau with just another woke liberal. Until the Liberal Party abandons woke, it's going to be another Justin Trudeau every time.
They supported everything he's done, and they promise to keep doing it. And if they say otherwise, we know they're lying because they would have done so earlier. Let's go through the list. You have Carbon Tax Carney himself to this day. He's on the Liberal website as the Chief Economic Growth Advisor to Justin Trudeau. He hasn't even resigned from that position after Justin Trudeau has resigned himself as the leader. Presumably then, Carbon Tax Carney supports every single economic policy that has given us the worst decline in per capita GDP of any G7 country, that has doubled our debt, that has taxed our people, that has destroyed our productivity. Oh, there's one disagreement. Carbon Tax Carney doesn't think that Justin Trudeau is spending enough on heat pumps.
Wow.
That's the only disagreement we can find so far between Mr. Trudeau and his top economic advisor, Carbon Tax Carney.
Carbon Tax Carney is highly involved in the WEF. Carbon Tax Carney has weird connections to Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. This guy, I mean, he's just like Trudeau for sure. And that's probably why Trudeau wants him to replace him, because he's so tied to the WEF. And also another thing about Carbon Tax Carney, he was a terrible, when he ran the Bank of England, he shot up inflation as the boss of the Bank of England. Imagine what he would do to our country. These people love to spend.
Then you have Carbon Tax Chrystia, who stormed out as finance minister the day she was supposed to introduce the fall economic update, which would show our deficit 50% bigger than she had promised only 6 months earlier. She suddenly said she objected to the costly political gimmicks on which Trudeau had been spending money, gimmicks that she had publicly supported only weeks earlier in explicit boosterism on the floor of the House of Commons. She claims now she has some disagreement with the deficits that she ran. She disowns her own economic policy. Well, she didn't do that on principle. because she stayed on as finance minister months after she learned the deficit was bigger than she had promised, weeks after she learned the Prime Minister was throwing $4 billion away on a temporary tax trick and gimmick. She only announced she would resign after she learned she was fired. It was all about her. That's why they call her Carbon Tax Christia. And then there's Carbon Tax Clark.
In fairness, Pierre, you call her Carbon Tax Christia, but us on X, we call her Twitchy Freeland.
Carbon tax in British Columbia, she was the carbon tax queen before Justin Trudeau even got the idea. In fact, she might even have been the inspiration. Of course, BC had the first and the worst carbon tax. And Carbon Tax Clark bragged, and you can look up the quote here, bragged that BC's carbon tax was the highest in North America, and that it was twice as high as the federally imposed carbon tax.
And now she's pretending to be against the carbon tax, right? Like, can you see? There's such snakes, flip-flopping snakes.
Justin Trudeau. They are all just like Justin. So what are they fighting about? Given that they agree on all of the same disastrous economic policies, they're fighting for themselves.
Yes.
Liberals are putting Liberals first. It's time to put Canada first.
I love it. Canada first.
Given that all of them are the same, all of them are just like Justin, let's get this decision out of the way. We need certainty now. We cannot wait. I'm calling on Justin Trudeau to do what he has the legal power to do. He can do it without his caucus supporting him. I'm calling on him to walk to Rideau Hall and announce that there will be an Axe the Tax election now, so that Canadians can take back control of their lives and country. The choice will be simple. Either the NDP Liberals, who tax your food, punish your work, double your housing cost, unleash crime and chaos and weakness on the world stage, or common sense Conservatives who will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime, and put Canada first.
Let's go.
We will take back control of immigration, take back control of spending, take back control of our borders, take back control of inflation, taxes, and interest rates. Take back control of the country that we knew and still love, and we will put Canada first.
I love it. I love it. Pierre, we've been covering Pierre 2 years on this channel, and he is getting more and more based. And he's listening to us and using terms like Canada first. Let's go. I love it.
We will stand up and we will state clearly that Canada is a sovereign and independent country, that we will protect our integrity as a nation through strength. First of all, this means a strong economy. We need a massive bring-it-home tax cut, lowering taxes on work, investment, energy, and making stuff in Canada will bring home billions of dollars of investment and paychecks, but will also make us more economically independent and less vulnerable to threats from abroad. Second, we need a Prime Minister who can make the case to our economic allies on the ground in America. We should go to the American workers in the Midwest and their union and business leaders and say, how many jobs are you prepared to lose by hitting Canadian energy with tariffs, energy that we sell to America at discounts that create six-figure jobs for American workers? How many of those people will go out of work? How many of those hard hats will be laid down and boots will be unfilled because Americans will lose jobs due to that self-harm?
Pierre, I like the way Pierre's delivering this. Stern, tough, likable. This is a much different vibe than Jagmeet Singh and Trudeau, who just ooze weakness. Pierre's looking strong here.
If those tariffs go ahead, we need to go to American home builders and say, we can help you build more affordable homes if your government would stop tariffing our softwood lumber. We need to go to the American tech companies and say, you could have access to our unmatched, totally reliable and clean electricity sources for your data centers. AI requires 10 times as much electricity as traditional information technology does. We have the most uranium for nuclear centers. Meta, Google, Microsoft are all buying or refurbishing their own nuclear plants to power their data centers. We can do it for them here in Canada. Cold, dry climate, lots of energy, low cost, totally reliable, 100% ally right next door. We can provide that to America. And energy today.
Hey, and another point, especially for AI and tech, we got a lot of Indians in Canada, and we, just saying, they're pretty good at tech and AI.
Venezuela being torn apart, with opposition leaders being attacked, and what is America going to be forced to do? Buy Venezuelan oil.
Oh, man.
Instead of good, clean Canadian oil. Not only should we condemn Maduro and the dictators in Venezuela for what they're doing, we should shut them off by shutting down their energy and their oil sales and replacing it with Canadian oil sales. The Americans, our friends, want Canadian oil, not Venezuelan, not Iranian, and not other dirty dictator oil from around the world. These are the arguments that a strong prime minister with the brains and backbones to lead a country would be making right now if we had a serious government. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to take back control and put our country first. That means rebuilding our economy, bringing home production, rebuilding our military, supporting a strong border, reinstating controls on immigration, and most of all, being proud of our country and unapologetic for our history. We need to be...
Did you guys hear that? Proud of our history, unapologetic about our history, or proud of our past. Finally, why are we apologizing about our past? We don't have any control over that. Why would we cancel our past? It's about time that we start celebrating Canadian history again. I'm liking this. This press conference is fire.
We need to honor our past and our shared values. We need to live out the dream that started with John A. Macdonald. Yes, I said John A. Macdonald.
Let's go.
Who believed in an independent and sovereign Canada. We need to uphold our heroes, stop tearing down our symbols, remind people who come here that when they're given a Canadian flag and they land on Canadian soil, that it's the greatest gift on earth.
Yes.
And that they should be proud to be part of the Canadian family. That's what it means to be a proud Canadian. That's what it means to put Canada first. Let's bring it home. Thank you.
Here we go. Now the press conference questions begin. All right, we skipped the first French question, but they're going to answer it in English here, so.
Énergie pour exporter nos ressources outre-mer.
Here we go.
The question was, should oil and gas and other energy be part of our response to the Americans? The reality is putting Canadian tariffs on American energy wouldn't do very much because they buy a hell of a lot more oil and gas from us than we do from them. In fact, our entire trade surplus with the Americans is the result of oil and gas. When President Trump complains about America's trade deficit with Canada, the concern he's raising really is that Canada is selling oil and gas at a massive price discount to American refineries and LNG plants that are able to massively profit at our expense. It is a ripoff. We're ripping ourselves off with this approach. Because of fanatical and stupid environmental extremists
yes.
in the Liberal government, and
they are fanatical and stupid. That's a perfect description. The gloves are off with Pierre Poilievre right now.
Throughout the country, we are forced to sell almost all of our energy exports to the Americans. So the answer to that is to stop being stupid and start building LNG plants, pipelines, refineries, upgraders, and other energy infrastructure so that we can sell our energy to the world without going through the Americans. That would allow us the independence and the sovereignty that we need to support our economy free from these threats. But I would remind our American friends that they benefit from our affordable, reliable energy, and the alternative is Venezuela, Iran, and other foreign dictatorships. Why would we not want to have a North American energy market that enriches us both?
Build the pipelines. Drill, baby, drill. Let's go.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi, Mr. Poilievre, Turia Isri, Global News. You spoke of the need to speak to our American allies to make the case against tariffs. So who have you spoken to directly since Trump's threat? And will you be reaching out to American lawmakers and business groups even before becoming Prime Minister to do what you say and put Canada first in English and French?
We need to put Canada first by locking arms with American economic allies on the ground that will put pressure on Washington to do the right thing. Look, I'm not Prime Minister. I respectfully ask the Canadian people to give me the chance to serve them in that role. But that's why we need an axe the tax election now. I need the mandate. The mandate to put our country first, to make...
What do you mean the mandate, Pierre? You're polling at almost 50%. You've been crushing the polls for 2 years now. That is you are already the Prime Minister to us, to me at least, and to probably my viewers right now. You're already the Prime Minister. Go and talk to Trump right now.
Make the case to the Americans to bring home production and paychecks to this country, to take back control and end the NDP Liberal chaos. The only way to get that is with an axe the tax election, and that's what I'm calling for Justin Trudeau to launch today.
Okay, we'll fast forward the French.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Next question.
Just move that down. Thank you. Stephanie Levitz, The Globe and Mail. Hello, Mr. Poilievre. Happy New Year.
Likewise.
For the first time in our living memory, a U.S. president is directly threatening our country. We have an election that's only weeks away, likely. Can you walk us through why you think axe the tax is still the ballot box question for this election and not something else?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that one. I think it should be axe the immigration. Start the deportations. I mean, the carbon tax is an issue, but I think our immigration in Canada is the #1 issue for a reason.
Yes, because I think that it's ironic we have an American president who's threatening tariffs on Canada, and we have a Canadian government that is threatening even more devastating tariffs on Canada in the form of a carbon tax that will rise to 61 cents a litre. You know, the only person that would like the Canadian carbon tax to go to 61 cents a litre more than the NDP Liberals is President Trump, because he'll be on the phone with our trucking companies, our factories, our mines. He'll be saying, pick up your billions of dollars and move 50 kilometers south, create the jobs for Americans, and leave the carbon tax behind. In the words of Ross Perot, there'll be a large sucking sound of Canadian business jobs and money pouring out of our country as America has no carbon tax and their other taxes will be dropping while we're imposing this devastating economic vandalism on our businesses and workers. The only way to bring home paychecks and production is through massive tax cuts on work, savings, investment, making stuff in Canada, and energy. We need cheap, reliable energy to feed our businesses and bring home production for our people.
And in French.
All right, fast forward.
Thank you. This will be the final question.
Here we go. From CBC News, by the way.
McKenna, CBC News. Mr. Poilievre, Elon Musk seems to be a fan of yours. He tweeted a 100% emoji recently in response to a tweet that says, Pierre Poilievre is extremely impressive. He should be Canada's next leader. The sooner, the better. I'm wondering what you think of this, and do you accept his endorsement?
We've been covering this on this channel, the bromance between Elon Musk and Pierre. Let's see how he responds.
In French and English, please.
Well, first of all, my 3-year-old has just told me that he wants to go to Mars. So I guess Mr. Musk would be the right guy to put him in touch with. The fact is that be nice if we could convince Mr. Musk to open some of his factories here in Canada.
Yes.
Create some jobs, high-paying jobs for our people. I think Tesla, his company, is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, automotive company in the world. Wouldn't it be nice if we were producing more without corporate welfare, without corporate subsidies, like the Liberals favor?
I mean, he's right. In our country, I mean, we have to bribe businesses to set up shop here. You don't have a country if you have to bribe businesses to come here. Let's build a country where businesses want to do business here. And that's not going to be under the woke liberals, clearly.
We had more of that production here in Canada. I think that would be fantastic. So if I ever get a chance to meet Mr. Musk, what I would say is, how do we make this an economy where we bring home hundreds of billions of dollars of investment to Canada so that our people get the paychecks? And why is it that after 9 years of NDP Liberals, it's Americans that are getting all the paychecks and all the growth? What is it that NDP Liberals have done wrong to drive these hundreds of billions of dollars out of our country? That is the question that all Canadians should be asking. And when I'm Prime Minister, there's going to be massive, this is the message I have for the Americans, by the way. The days of us just handing over our businesses
And our talent.
jobs because of our economic vandalism by this big, fat, money-hungry government in Ottawa
is over.
are over.
Yeah.
We're going to have a fierce free market economy that competes with every country on earth. We're going to bring it home.
Awesome.
En français?
Yeah, all right. So I think that's it for the press conference. I don't know about you guys, but Pierre Poilievre has been getting a lot more patriotic lately and a lot more on message. I don't know about you, but this inspires me. It inspires me to stay in Canada, be Canadian. I really want to see how Canada will turn around under a Pierre Poilievre government. And the more I've been covering him over the years, the more and more I'm convinced that this is the guy who could turn around Canada. And I gotta say, I'm so proud of Pierre Poilievre in the last 2 years of covering him on this channel. We started covering Pierre when he was relatively unknown to the international scene. And from viral moment after viral moment to the ultimate viral moment of the Apple video to now being one of Elon Musk's favorite politicians, it has truly been an incredible come up for Pierre Poilievre, and it has been truly amazing to witness. Anyways, folks, that's it for today's report. But my question of the day for you is, do you guys think that Pierre Poilievre is capable of pulling this off and bringing Canada its first ever Tesla factory? Do you think we will finally see a Gigafactory Canada? Tell me in the comments down below. All right, guys, that is it for today's video. If you made it to the end and you're not subscribed, smash subscribe, drop a comment, tell your friends about the pleb. Mon nom, c'est le pleb. Puis on va se revoir dans la prochaine émission. Ciao, tabarnak.